Hey guys, it's Keith here and I'm excited to be showing you this one. We're going to be using our MechVDV formation, the Laika's pack. Tried and tested, hasn't failed me yet. We're going to be playing on Jelgover's Pills. Now I am excited to be showing you this one because I think we've played a solid game of support for our teammates today, and I want to show you how effective you can be when you understand the different kind of support. So it's not just about artillery or maybe even long range AA. It's making sure that you create a situation or setting up for your teammates to push in, as well as supplying crucial supplies, making sure that you play the logistics officer. Anyway, without further ado, I hope you sit back, relax and enjoy the show. And with the start of the match here, we're going to be bringing out the Su-35S, a powerful aircraft belonging to the VDV deck, available to us today. But we're going to be encountering the Russian forces ourselves, so a bit of a mirror matchup in this game. So we're going to have to watch out for the enemy Su-57 or maybe even Su-35. Nevertheless, our aircraft is going to take to the high ground here, pushing directly towards the enemy air spawn to see if we can spot enemy aircrafts. But I'm not seeing any for the time being, so we're going to be telling our aircraft to dive down low towards the left here. And lo and behold, we're going to be spotting that the pink player has decided to bring up a couple of helicopters to play. With the enemy not bringing in any aircrafts to cover their own helicopters approach, we're going to be taking advantage of that, and by swinging our plane around to try and engage and eliminate the enemy helicopters. Our Su-35 pushing deep is going to be spotting that the pink player is quite aggressive with his helicopters, and these Mi-35M are powerful attack helicopters but also able to carry a single infantry squad, so eliminating one and eventually also bringing down the infantry on board, definitely a good kill for us. The pink player is quick to react by bringing in his own Su-35S, launching a extremely long range missiles there, taking down our own aircraft, and that was a bit of an unfortunate RNG for us. Nevertheless, I think we did the right thing here. So a little bit of an analysis. By bringing out our aircraft to see if we can spot the enemy aircrafts our own, we managed to capitalize on the fact that the enemy has pushed in several helicopters on the left flank here. One good thing is that we took down the enemy helicopters, which also scored us a kill, but more importantly, our aircraft was able to spot the enemy's early aggression, so which definitely allows or buys some sort of information for our teammate on the left side here to quickly readjust their positioning and making sure they take advantage of that early recon scout. That said, however, our main focus in here today would be the echo position. As you can see, I have a couple of Karmas already brought in several infantry squads, a couple of recon units on the right, as well as the supporting elements on the center here. A single Kornet team, as well as a Metis squad holding down the main road here, and especially importantly on this map, this location here, we're gonna have to watch out for the bridge. The opposite side, where the river is dividing this center of the map here, pushing into Delta is gonna be a very difficult task for me in this game, so I've actually opted not to push into the Delta straight on. So you're gonna see me play in a bit of a supportive role in here today. Historically, however, playing in the center usually means that you're gonna be the spearhead of any assaults, making sure that you take a lot of hits and push towards the front. But in this case, because the nature of the map here, pushing in across that bridge is gonna be a deadly trap for either side. So both sides, as well as the orange player right now, recognizing the difficulty of pushing our units across the bridge, both of us are not gonna have opted not to assault each other through the bridge. So for the time being, I have all my units here, just taking a position, make sure we cover several approaches into our position. You're gonna slowly see how I develop my forces here to make sure that I cover both the left and the right flank here, but for the time being you can see the Shtrum with its long range missiles targeting or poking the orange players here. a single Mi-8 MTV-5 Zeleniy here. Well, I'm just going to be calling it the Zeleniy. Zeleniy's now bringing in a couple triple squads here, and these are the airborne versions of the Russian squads, the VDV squads. Definitely a cool unit here. On the right flank here, our mechanized forces in these BMPs are going to be told to deploy into these tree lines, these forests here, to try and establish or develop our position on the right flank here. As you can see, the orange player is still withholding his forces, as am I, as the orange player has now decided to bring in the artillery to try and hamper and destroy my units from afar. Our recon units, the VDVs, are now deployed onto the left flank here. Just going to be taking our position on the tree lines to make sure that we cover our teal player on the left. We're going to talk a bit about the situation, but for the time being, as you can see, my intention right now is to make sure that I cover this tree line towards our right side here in the dip of the river. Make sure that I control that position, prevent the enemy from using that tree line to assault into our lines instead. VDV Spetnaz as well as the Razvedka here just taking a position, making sure that we provide recon and support to our teal player on the left. If you notice now, the teal player is hard pressed against two enemy players, both the pink and the purple player assaulting his position, whereas our side here, we actually have triple players on our team against the orange and the peach player on the right flank here. So with the imbalance of forces here, we're really gonna have to make sure that we take advantage of that and push really aggressively into the enemy position, which is eventually and hopefully are gonna be alleviating the pressure felt by the teal player right now. So the teal player really has to hold on to his position, playing a little bit defensively and try to limit his losses there while we quickly develop our position. But we're gonna see more of that in a bit. Over on the far right flank, the light green as well as the dark green here, pushing aggressively against the peach player in the Foxtrot objective. So it's just a matter of time before their numbers quickly overwhelm the pink player's forces into Foxtrot, where they're going to be launching their next assault into the next objectives. Personally, myself right now, I'm in a weird position where I can't really decide on the lane, so I've opted to really just push whatever supporting units that I can into both sides of the flank here, making sure that I covered both the teal player on the left as well as our teammates on the right side here. But you can see most of my forces, my concentration here is on the right side, where my mechanized units, the BMPs as well as the Motostrelkis, are taking up positions and making sure that we clear this tree line here to prepare ourselves for the next assault into the next objectives. Razvedka keeping an eye onto the enemy Kornet teams, but we're going to have to tell the Razvedka to get back into the BMP, as we're going to make sure that we cross the open very quickly and not take any damage. But the BMP is going to be finding line of sight into the Kornet squad, launching a couple of shells here. And with the desync a little bit, we're lucky to actually get away from the enemy ATGM, so lucky to have that BMP3 survive. But here we go, we're going to be pushing out our forces onto the right side here, which it was a good thing, because the enemy PRP, I think, was definitely the orange player's PRP recon units was providing a lot of intel on our units' movements, so eliminating that was a very good trade for us. As you can see on the right side here, both of our teammates here quickly overwhelming the peach player's position, but the same can be said on our left side here, because the teal player now has lost his T14 Armata, with several just wounded Recon units here remaining in the India objective. So we're really going to have to make sure that we support our teammate on the left as well. Mindset throughout this game is that because neither side, neither myself nor the orange players decided to assault into each other's objective through the bridge, we're happy to just play around the sides here, making sure that we keep control of the tree lines. As I said, that the enemy artillery scored a direct hit into our Strela, so we're lucky to get that BMP away. But definitely there was some recon elements belonging to the enemy team that's managed to spot our units. I have brought out a KA-52 Alligator towards the left flank here, just to both scare away the enemy forces, but also eliminate the enemy BMD. The BMD was pushing too deep into our lines for my liking, and with the teal player's units completely hampered and destroyed, we really have to buy time for the teal player to build up his forces and set up his defenses on the left. simultaneously. We're just going to be building up our initiative here. You can see I have several units all kind of out of place onto the right flank here. But just want to make sure that we keep eyes on to the enemy and making sure that we know where the position of their units are. My Shtrum, being amphibious, in fact, almost all of my units here, all of my vehicles here are actually amphibious. So I could have easily just pushed all my BMPs across the river and into the delta sector. But I want to be leaning into my teammates for support and making sure that we have numbers to cover both our units and theirs, to make sure that we overwhelm the enemy as quickly as possible. On the left side here, our small teams of infantry here manages to catch the enemy pink players' units by surprise, as the enemy's VDV Shtrum here engaging against our Zeleniy. Our Shtrum is under attack right now, but the enemy BTR does find a line of sight into my Shtrum, so it's going to quickly eliminate that Shtrum as well. K-52 manages to launch a couple of rockets there, but unfortunately getting pinned down and engaged by the enemy Igla, so we're going to have to pull that out. As you can see, just me juggling between these two zones here. It's a bit of a challenge here. Definitely our attention and focus is more put towards the right flank here rather than the left flank. In hindsight, however, I think one great thing that because of our forces was on the left side, we managed to actually destroy or damage the pink players' forces, preventing them from capitalizing on their aggression, which definitely bought a lot of time for the teal player to stabilize his front and make sure he brings in more reinforcements to stabilize his line instead. You can see our teammate on the right side here pushing quite deeply into the peach players' forces, and constantly we're just building up forces, making sure that we take favorable trades and continue the pressure into the enemy forces themselves. A couple of T-72 BAs now charging down straight to the main road here, gonna be using the bridge to assault into the hotel objective, as I do have another Shtrum here launching long-range ATGM missiles into the Kornet team itself. As you can see, double T-72 BA now hammering into the Kornet team. But one of our T-72 is going to be uncovering the enemy Devasanti teams, which is definitely in a very forward position. Unlucky to be caught out by my tank here. Our tank is going to quickly destroy the Devasanti team. Eliminating enemy recons whenever possible is always a good idea, because you're going to be able to limit the enemy's vision, limit the enemy's information regarding your troop movements, your teammates' troop movements, and the position of your units as well. I was being a little bit too greedy with my T-72, so the top T-72 is actually pushing way too deep, and it's going to be engaged and destroyed by the enemy Spetnaz GRU, as well as another infantry squad here. We're going to be bringing in the Su-34 to try and bomb some of these clumped up units that we saw earlier. But this Su-34 is going to be in a very difficult position. One of our bombs lands into the supply dump of the enemy, destroying it, which is going to help us secure more control over that territory. But unfortunately, we did not secure a lot of kills to justify the loss of that Su-34. Nevertheless, our units are now getting engaged by both enemy artillery as well as long-range cruise missiles, so we're gonna have to keep our units moving most of the time. But our aggression into the hotel sector right now, as you can see, both the peach player and the orange player struggling a little bit to hold back triple players on our side of the front. Both myself as well as the dark green player pushing in quite aggressively into the hotel sector. Our VDV Spetnaz pushing in towards the left side of this tree line here, this center island, is going to be uncovering the second Devasanti squad that was actually keeping vision into our units here. So eliminating that is going to secure the entire island for us, making sure that we have a stable or a safe platform for us to launch our attack in both the delta as well as the hotel sector. Our units just limping away back into one of the supply dumps to get them resupplied, patched up and healed up once again. Buratino strikes into the hotel sector, which is gonna be damaging and stressing any units that are currently garrisoned inside. I did have a couple of units here on the left side here, the Motostrelki pushing out. It's gonna be uncovering the fact that the enemy, the orange player, has several infantry units positioned over on that side of the front. Once again, this kind of information allows me to make my decision, making sure that I don't accidentally push my vehicles into those buildings here, where the enemy Gvadi Motostrelki squad is going to be quickly destroying any BMPs that I might be pushing in. On the right flank here, you can see dark green as well as the light green player amassing all their infantry, so their units here gearing up for a big push into the next objective. Orange player is going to be retaliating into our position with a Soinsepek strike, unfortunately unable to secure any kills. The Zeleniy that was dropped off earlier on has a single last man survived, and it's going to be told to really trek all the way back to our sector and need to supply them to get themselves healed up. Massive push now going on the right flank here. As you can see, both the green and the dark green now slowly sweeping their forces forward and then turning left to make sure that they outflank and sweep around to engage the enemy on the right. While that's going on, we're going to be assaulting directly into the hotel objective, and my Razveka is already in position engaging with the enemy forces there, but we're going to have more reinforcements coming in the form of these BMP Epochas. You can see the mechanized infantry on the right side here pushing over the bridge. S-300 Ante here is going to be launching a missile towards the MiG-35, but the MiG-35 does have some seed missiles there, so we're lucky to be turning off that S-300 in the nick of time. You can see a couple of SSOs engaging against each other. We do have a meta squad there, so our vehicles are going to have to be careful or aggressive to be pushing deep into the enemy's faces. As our Epochas now pushing in, it's going to be furiously charging into this orange players' units there. Our Epokha will have no trouble eliminating the enemy meta squad. Orange player is now pushing in his Strumovikis towards the edge of the sector here, but our engineering inside one of these Epokha is going to have no problem dealing with that unit here. Gonna be pushing out our Epokha here to strike down the enemy units that were garrisoning on the left side here. The engineering now deployed is going to be charging into the Strumovikis. With the engineers having flashbangs and shotguns, it's going to be making quick work of that Strumoviki squad. The Strumoviki does have equipped some fragmentation RPG, so effective units against anti-infantry at long range, but up close against the engineering with their shotgun close range assault weapons, definitely no match against the engineering. In this case, I've taken the liberty to push my Epokha out quite aggressively and actually very recklessly as well, but we are rewarded with a S-300 battery kill as well as a very expensive Tor. So definitely the right call in my mind to be pushing in the Epokha very aggressively into the enemy position. But this Epokha is going to be caught out of position from multiple sides, getting engaged by the enemy tank, the BTR, as well as a boomerang. So very quickly we're going to end up losing that Epokha. Over on the left flank here, the enemy has completely taken over both the Alpha as well as the India objective. So the teal as well as the lime green player now gonna have to play a little bit more defensively against both the pink, purple as well as the red player. But eventually, you're gonna start to see the pink player shift his attention towards our side of the flank, and that's a result of us being exerting quite a lot of pressure into the enemy sectors for now. Both the orange as well as the peach player now struggling, and they're constantly just losing their units and losing their positions to the mass of attention of myself, the dark green, as well as the light green players. Now I know the title of this, well, at least the thumbnail here says aggressive support here, and I think a lot of people understand support as a rear guard player who usually push or calls in artilleries or maybe even S300 long-range SAM batteries here. But I want to showcase this game here because I think although we didn't do too well eventually in the kill score here, I think a lot of the moves that that I made today has opened up the way, making sure that we take advantage of the aggression that we're creating and really push and put the pressure into the enemy here. So a lot of different ways to understand what support play means, and hopefully this one is going to change your mind a little bit about what it means to be a supporting player. You can see on the right side here, our control over the hotel sector is very, very dominant right now, as well as the right side of the flank, where the light green player as well as the dark green player are ganging up together against the peach player. Our forces here is slowly developing their position. Our VDV Spetnaz pushing in. It's going to be uncovering the fact that the enemy does have several infantry units securing the delta objectives right now, especially the SSO squad. So a very dangerous unit to be coming up against in close quarter combat here. So we're going to have to once again build up our forces, making sure that we take favorable trades, put our units in a position where they can cover one another. As you can see, the synergy between the dark green player and myself working actually quite well together in this match. Nevertheless, I do have more reinforcements on the way. As you can see, BMPs now, the mechanized BMPs now pushing in towards the objectives, as well as a couple of T-72 B3Ms. We're going to see that in action a little bit. Motostrelki Igla once again in a good position to be launching the Igla missiles into the enemy attack helicopter, as well as Tunguska now. But the desync is going to cause my Tunguska's missile to temporarily just hang out in a bit. But fortunately for us, our Motostrelki Igla manages to take down the enemy attack helicopter. I know it's important to note that what just happened is because both the enemy team only had the orange player as well as the peach player guarding the right flank, and up against triple players from our side here, here comes the red player with his attack helicopter trying to support his teammates. But there were 3 of us and only 2 of them, so when you have the numbers advantage, you want to take advantage of that and quickly and quite aggressively push and develop your position into the enemy forces here. Having the numbers to quickly overwhelm the enemy forces is going to have a lot of positive effect. In this case, you can see the the dark green player now pushing quite aggressively into the delta objective. I think that was a dark green player's Osa now taking down the red player's attack helicopter. Seed missiles coming in from the pink player, and you can start to see that both the red and the pink player now providing a lot of support towards the right flank here. Plenty of rocket artillery now smashing into the tree lines that we've just taken over, but fortunately for us, there were barely any units hiding in that. As we quickly develop and push our lines further ahead, making sure that we take cover behind these buildings here. But we're gonna have to keep moving because the enemy will no doubt be paying attention onto the position of my vehicles, so we're gonna have to quickly move them away. But I did manage to sneak one of the snipers here, and sneaking a sniper into one of these forward high towers here was a primary objective for me, because having a recon unit, and especially a sniper, this close towards the front is going to help me discover and making sure that we keep eyes on the enemy units' movements. Making sure, for example, the pink player's helicopter on the far left here was already spotted far behind the enemy lines before any of our forces would have been coming into contact with that helicopter. So having, whenever possible, you want to be pushing recon units and taking good positions, especially these high towers here, providing a lot of vision and spotting a lot of the enemy movements for yourself as well as your own units. An aggressive BMP3 again, as well as the 4-man Ognometchiki squad now being told to drop off, gonna be using the smoke to try and launch some missiles and rockets into these high-rise towers here, destroying both of the orange players' Kornet teams. But against the enemy Motostrelki squad, we're gonna have to pull our BMP3 out as their RPGs are able to penetrate into the BMP's armor. Tunguska now just just suppressing and destroying the orange players' Gavadi Motostrelki squad inside the building. We did end up losing that Motostrelki Igla squad, but it was a trade I was willing to make. Throughout this entire time, my Duplo has been ferrying large amount of supplies. My Karmas has been working overtime in making sure that we move some of these supplies into forward positions, where both myself as well as the dark green player here is going to be able to take advantage of. You can see a lot of our forces have pushed up ahead, so it's important to understand and be reminded to keep your supplies moving up ahead along with your main assaulting force as well, because there will be situations where your units are going to be taking a lot of damage here, and not having supplies up close to the front is going to leave you at a very vulnerable position. So keeping your supplies moving along with your main assaulting forces, your main army, is going to be a very important tactic to have. Our S300 just narrowly misses the Su-34. that red Su-34 has been tempting and making fun of my S300 battery here. But the S300 is going to be running out of missiles very quickly, so we're going to be telling the S300 to get resupplied and push further up into the front lines here. You can see in the kill score right now, we are up by an amazing 8,000 points against the enemy's 5,000 points lead. So we're definitely in a very good position to be dominating this game and winning this game eventually. Throughout this entire time, once we've pushed through the hotel objective, you notice that my forces is in somewhat of a chaotic movements right now. That's because I want to keep my units constantly moving around, making sure that we prevent the enemy from building up a solid defensive line here. So our BMP is being quite an exceptional unit to be used to harass, move around, use these roads to quickly push into the enemy position and destroy any enemy's assets that we can find. But the orange player has been developing his forces once again, and over on the left side here you can see a T-14 Armata, definitely a scary enemy tank to be facing off against, especially when we only have the BMPs as well as the T-72s. So we're really gonna have to quickly pounce on it and making sure that we push a lot of units and quickly overwhelm that T-14. While I'm securing the hotel sector for our team here, green player has decided to push into the delta objectives, which is really a smart move here, because the enemy has been occupied constantly inside the hotel objective, as well as on the left side here with other players playing around. So the delta is definitely a prime target right now to be captured by our forces. And green player definitely making the best use of the chaos right now sown by my units against the orange players' units. More triple T-72 BAs now finally arriving in the front, and we're going to use our tanks to quickly overwhelm the enemy's T-14 Armatas. As you can see, our T-72 B3 already in position dueling against the enemy tanks themselves. More pink players aircrafts here, two Tu-160 now launching a lot of cruise missiles, and now once again our S-300 just narrowly misses that solid kill for us, so unfortunately we were not able to take it down. A bit of a urban tank warfare right now as our T-72 takes to the road and quickly moves into a flanking position of the enemy. If you want to be paying attention to what's happening right now, as our T-72 B3M on the left side here pins the enemy's tank in position, and it was a bit of a mistake here. Unfortunately, I was not microing my tank well enough, so we're going to be losing one of these T-72. While that T-72 is pinning them in position, a couple of these T-72 now is trying to move into the back lines here to try and flank around and making sure that we catch the enemy T-14 Armatas from the back here. Unfortunately, the enemy does have another tank here. I believe that's a T-80 UM Drots. as well as a purple player's attack helicopter now just hovering overhead. So we're gonna have to quickly retreat that tank back, but thankfully our tank is gonna be bumping into the enemy's toss. I believe that's a toss Buratino, so eliminating, yes, the toss Buratino, so eliminating that toss for our team here is going to secure more points for us, as well as denying the enemy long-range artillery assets here. But here comes the T-14, and the T-14 definitely a monster tank to be fighting against, especially against my T-72BAs, but we do have two T-72BAs, so we're going to be pushing that T-72BA now quickly and quite deeply into the enemy T-14 Armata. As you can see, I'm constantly just moving my units ahead, making sure that we keep eyes on the enemy as our recon forces now push into position. It's going to be seeing that the enemy has brought in a couple of attack helicopters right now. But with the the dark green player now pushing towards the delta objectives, which was occupying the orange player, and my tanks now flanking around to eliminate the orange player's units from behind, we have definitely secured the delta objectives for our side here. Teal player has been amassing his forces. You can see the pink player still has a presence here. But with the the purple player now also bringing in a attack helicopter to stabilize this front, the attention of both the pink and the purple player has been drawn closer towards our side of the position here. So it's gonna give the teal player a leg up, alleviating the pressures that the teal player is facing on the left flank here, which is going to help him make more moves into regaining the territory that he has lost on the left flank. You can see the dominance between the dominance of myself, the dark green, as well as the light green player on the right side of the flank here, has quickly pushed the enemy very deep into their spawn points. So we're building sort of a buffer zone between the objectives as well as the enemy spawn points here. So the enemy is gonna have to fight a lot of units to get into the objective point in order to contest. Anyway, we are gonna be bringing out the Su-34 because the purple player has a lot of juicy target for us today, and the Su-34 is gonna be coming in. What a fantastic bombing strike by the Su-34. And the Su-34 is going to have to quickly dive down to low altitude, boost out of the way and get back to the hangar as the enemy Su-57 was hunting it down. As you can see, our forward recon able to spot a lot of information for us today, having occupied some of these high rises for us. We're going to be able to see where the enemy units are coming from, and the composition, the types of units that the enemy has decided to field in retaliation for us into the delta objectives right now. I'm thankful for the dark green player today, as he was able to capitalize on a lot of our aggression and quickly push into the enemy to, well, effectively eliminate the enemy's forces with ease. Now, undoubtedly our initiatives here, as well as most importantly our recon positions, as well as the aggressive movements that we've made, has definitely opened up a lot of channels of engagement for our teammates here to capitalize on. Not to mention, I think, I like to think that our aggressive playstyle here has caused a lot of stress onto the enemy players, especially both the peach and the orange player here today, which is going to affect their micromanagement of the game a little bit as well. Our S-300 unfortunately gets taken out by the enemy seed, so we ended up losing a very useful asset that has been doing quite well for us today actually. So we're gonna have to watch out for the enemy attack aircrafts in here today, especially the bombers. But with about 11 minutes and 56 seconds left on the clock, looking at a fantastic position to be winning the game. We have captured a lot of territories here, and especially all on the right flank here, making sure that we secure and control these territories, these objectives for our team here. It's going to slowly take our points up and making sure that we put ourselves in a very healthy position. a Kurova has just been called in and deployed a large supply dump here, and you can see I'm constantly just making sure that myself as well as the teammates here have access to a lot of supplies to resupply their units, making sure that they get topped up and well patched up as well for the eventual counter attack that the enemy will be making into our position. Ping player continues to use aircrafts to harass and destroy our units here, but with our anti-aircraft net sort of established, we're relatively well protected against enemy pushes right now. Things are slowing down, primarily because I think both sides are slowly just building up their forces and strengthening our position. With our territory secure, we don't actually have a reason to push even deeper into the enemy's spawn zone, which is gonna most likely gonna be causing us to overextend anyway. So we're happy to just capitalize on our wins here and strengthen our position by putting repositioning units to their best positions. Tunguska continues to be a hero, shooting down all these seed missiles here, defending itself. I absolutely love the Tunguska in this game. Earlier you did see that I did queue up a lot of BMPs because my intention right now, or my focus, is going to be shifting towards the left flank here. With the right flank sort of dominated by our team here, we're going to want to make sure that we support the teal player and his left flank over on the left side. The BMPs are amphibious, so they're going to be a useful asset to eventually cross the river and assault the enemy position from an unexpected angle of attack. I do have a KA-52 Alligator still, and we're going to be using that KA-52 to sort of open up the channel here and making sure that we capitalize on the sudden attack. As you can see, the KA-52 now is going to be told to push into the river here. BMPs a total of 5 BMPs now pushing into the next objective zone. We're going to be looking to assault into the left flank here. My KA-52 is going to be taking into the low ground here to use this river as well as the valley for cover, sneakily moving into position here, but does find a line of sight into the enemy Mikhailovich, I believe. It's going to be launching a couple of these Igla missiles into target. But with our presence now being made, we're going to be pushing the Alligator into the back lines here. We're going to be uncovering the enemy's S-300 batteries, destroying a couple of these cruise missiles, ballistic missiles as well. Unfortunately, unable to take down the last remaining Tochka. We did take down the enemy Mikhailovich, but with the Alligator stressed out, unable to fire, we're going to miss out on a lot of opportunities. But it's a moot point because the enemy has surrendered. A GG. What a crazy game. We did not do too well, I think, with a negative ratio here. We ended up with a 4,950 kills, 5,105 deaths, but a okay ratio of 0.97. What's more important, however, I think, is that we managed to support our team and scored victory. So I hope you enjoyed that one. Definitely an interesting game, very fun to play. I hope you enjoyed that one, and as always, I'll see you in the next one, guys.